Okay, hello. It is March the 13th, and this is Janet Janssen here with the best people in the world who are attending vocal branding. And this is really about effective communication. I promised you that what this event would be about, and I'm sure those of you got it, you had this flyer and it said vocal branding. And in that vocal branding, I promised three things. I promised that I would help you better understand what vocal branding is, why it's so important, and how you can really use it. It's really a teaser when you think about it. We all know that an hour on a Zoom call, if you have any participation, and people who show up on time or not, this is not an event where you're going to be judged or critiqued. We're all good here, and we're all doing our very best, and we're all trying to be as authentic as we can be. Um, so, what I'm going to do is give you the overview of what we're going to do, and then I'm going to take you through the process and be prepared. I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and I'm going to put you on a timer. So, once I flag you down, you stop. You're not going to be critiqued or judged over that, but you're going to use that as a frame of reference. But what I want to see is a show of hands. Are you guys all in to participate when you're called on, or you can volunteer? So let me see some hands. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can check in the chat box, whatever. I probably won't be going to the chat every time, but welcome to you all. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Oh, great.
So here's the overview. And if you have a noisy background, mute yourself. And when you get called on, then of course you can unmute, that kind of thing. So here's how it's going to roll today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background, just a little bit about why I believe that I have some value to talk about vocal branding. Then we're going to have, why you're here today. So I want you to think about this. I ask you to take a pen and paper and write notes. And hi, Roxanne, please put your video on if you can. We'd love to see you. She's from Louisiana also. Um,
Hey.
so here's what you're going to do, and you've got to do it like in 45 seconds. 60 seconds, I'm cutting you off, okay? Because we don't want to spend a lot of time, but this is for all of you um, to get to know each other a little bit. So you're going to give your full name, you'll give your title, and if you have a tagline or a brief description about what you do, great. But you need to tell us why you're here. What's your why? Why are you here? And what's the one thing that you want to take away? Does that make sense to everybody?
Let's
So
review it
get
together.
your brain going, get organized. You're at a networking event, and somebody says to you, hi, who are you? Introduce yourself. So I'm going to get my second timer going here. And let's see, it never falls on the place you want it to. It's set at 45 seconds. So I'm going to give you a few seconds in order, and I'm just going to do it as I see you on my screen. I'm going to have Linda go first. I'm going to have Sonia second. Marina is going to be third. Lauren, you're going to be fourth, and then Monique, and then Roxanne. So, again, name, title, um, a tagline or what you do, but why are you here? What's the one takeaway? And let's do it in 45 seconds or less if you can, but let's just do it. So go ahead and start, Linda.
Hi, I'm Linda Malka. I am an intuitive mindset coach. I love to help people connect the dots, figure out what's holding them back from being who they are supposed to be, what they're meant to do. My title is, well, that was my title. And then I am here because of Janet. Janet and I have been working together for a long time.
And why are you here? And what is your takeaway?
Well, I want my takeaway actually to be, I want to know what vocal branding is and how to improve mine.
Great. Wow, that was awesome. Okay, you guys, we had
Mm.
like 16
Yeah.
seconds. That was awesome. Good for you. Okay, who's next?
My name's Sonia Lee. I am the owner of Cosmo Chic Designs. I'm a fashion designer. I specialize in sewing classes for anyone 9 and older, as well as custom embroidery and brand helping companies with their branding of their products for their business. And I am looking to learn more about vocal branding to fine tune my branding.
Do you have a takeaway?
Um, Not at the moment. I
All
can't think
right.
of one now.
Good answer. You did it. You had like 8 seconds left. Okay. All right. Who's next?
Me. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Marina Corcoran. I'm currently a sponsorship coordinator for an event company called Peps and Chill, where I connect health and wellness brands to our event so they can outreach to our social media audience. The reason why I'm here is because I've just recently entered the world of sales over the last 6 months, and I'm very interested in learning more effective communication strategies. And I would love to take away exactly that, things I can take into my sales calls.
All righty. Thank you. Woohoo. Okay. And who is next?
I think that's me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lauren Crickey. I am a system director for Common Spirit Health, the large nonprofit healthcare system, national system. And I am an internal business consultant. So I work closely with our executive leadership team and help develop new service lines or roll out large projects across the enterprise, do mergers and acquisitions, all things business and healthcare. Been here for 18 years. And my why I'm here is one thing, because I love and respect Janet. So if she's doing something, I know it's cool. And I also women and supporting women and girls. I work on a couple of different nonprofit boards in that area. And my takeaway for today is I do a lot of public speaking. I do a ton of speaking on Zoom. So I thought it was very interesting to see what vocal branding could help.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay. All right. Here you go. Who's next? Monique, that's you.
Oh, it's me? Oh, hello. My name is Monique Law. I own ML Skillful Chisel Historic Restoration and Custom Masonry. We do brickwork, custom brickwork, outdoor, indoor kitchens. So much. I'm here. Well, yes, because my aunt TJJ. But anyways, just for more communication to get it out to media, to just get our whole business out there. And anything to be taken away, I really don't have. I wouldn't want nothing taken away. I want to gain from this, so I want nothing to take away. But I am 100%. I'm a business owner, so and I pretty much that's about
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Okay, Roxanne, it's you.
Hi, honey. Can I excuse myself by just saying that I'm sorry that I can't be on video because I was stuck on a job and I'm in the car. So I'm driving at the moment, but I will once I reach my destination, I'll put on my video. So what I do, I'm a life and business coach and I help people connect and align with their most authentic voice so that they can market with ease, grace, and impact. And I'm here today because I love, adore, Janet, and I want to support her in everything you do. Don't you do that. Be proud of that. And also just to find out how to better brand my voice in the marketplace so that I can help other people.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for being so complimentary to me. I appreciate that very much. And again, I want you to think about your introduction. Now, this is rhetorical. We don't need any feedback right now. This isn't where we're critiquing or judging. And I invite you, I hope you did not judge yourself in this process. If you did, I want you to just to make a notation of what you did say to yourself. It's always important. Today, in this whole presentation, is really about presence. It's also about practice. And when we are present and when we practice, we become more empowered, and that leads to more confidence. And more confidence shows up and when we introduce ourselves. And the one thing that I invite you is if you want to market and promote yourself, it's really important, especially when you go to networking events or events like this. Have you really practiced how you're going to introduce yourself? Have you really thought about how you're going to maybe give your tagline pitch? Or do you have your quick 1 minute like introduction? That was a big thing for a while. You got 1 minute, tell everybody what you do, and that's it. A tagline is usually 15 words or less. But the bottom line is, I think the key is thinking about presence and thinking about practice. Because we all, when you were listening to each other, you already created some kind of image or impression about what you think that person, how well they are doing in their business. So we're constantly making judgments. Um, this is not to put a negative spin on it, but it's just a natural thing that you do. The other thing that I invite you is how many of you have had the television on or the radio on, or maybe an audio book, and you hear the voice, but you're wondering, what does that person look like? Anybody ever done that? You're trying to imagine what they look like. And if you have the opportunity to actually see who they are, does their physical look match to what you thought the voice would be?
Mm-mm.
Rarely doesn't. So what I invite you to do, or you might think what kind of culture they're coming from, or or what kind of nationality they might be. So I just invite you that it's a natural thing that we do, that we're making quick judgments all the time. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me. And I am looking at the time, and we are on time. And I invite you that if you have a burning desire for a question, I may be able to answer it right then if I'm not coming across clear or concise for you. Or I may save that to the end and we'll do a Q&A. So you all in for that?
Yep.
Okie doke. Certainly, before you leave today, I invite you to put into the chat, did you get your takeaway, or is there something else you would have liked to have heard? So that'll be useful information for me as well. Okay, with that, I just want to tell you that when I was in fourth grade, I was in my first movie. And in this movie, I was Pocahontas. And at that time, when I was in grade school, you had the videos, but you didn't have the audio at the same time. So you had to sync up both of them together. And I remember that I was supposed to verbally do my little speech while we're out in the woods and I'm being Pocahontas, and my mother made me a special dress and all of this kind of stuff. I was totally cool, but I could not sync up my voice to the movie. I couldn't do it. And so they actually got another girl in class who dubbed my voice. I was just so bruised by that situation. So perhaps that's why the time I entered high school, I was always, I was a magical singer. I sang at our high school graduation. I got the rhythmic of music. So you want to think about that our voices also have a melody, a tone, a rhythm to this. We have our speech style. Um, so between that, I did overcome that trauma, and I ended up years later doing the coaching, ended up doing life coaching, habits, behavior, mindset. But really, what changed the course for me was when I went to the National Speakers Academy. I then got actively involved in Toastmasters International. I have earned the right to be called a distinguished Toastmaster simply because what that means is that you've been in contests and that you've won contests in your district. Certainly, it wasn't a global contest that I won, but I do have some awards and flags hang behind me. So, where that led me then was to TEDx coaching. And this is what really solidified the fact that speaking is where I need to be and working with others to speak. So I just wanted to share with you that all of this means I've had tons of practice. If you are promoting your business and you're doing public speaking, one of the first ways is to do a lot of the service organizations. But my very first Rotary Club speaking gig was when two old geezers were sitting up in front and they both fell asleep. So they were like nodding off. I mean, I swear I was like mortified. So I want to, what my whole point is, you need to have fun with this opportunity of how you're presenting yourself. One of the call to actions that I'm going to do later, we'll do a little bit of an exercise, but I want to take us now to this idea that our voice shapes our communication. And I just want you to realize how important that is because we're always making judgments. So I'm going to give you some definitions because what is vocal branding? What does it mean? What are the definitions? And I want you to see how they correlate really, how they're interconnected with marketing, branding, and brand voice. So all of we know that marketing, we're all marketing at some level our businesses, and that's always about strategies and actions designed really to attract or engage customers, right? Isn't that we're all trying to do at some level, figuring out what platforms, what social media, what organization, what groups. And the idea is in marketing, you're going to be advertising, you're going to be promoting, you're going to have some kind of sales tactics to let the world know that you exist. Along with that, often will come branding. And this is where vocal branding is kind of connected when you think about it. In branding, we spend time and money on logos, on colors, on we want people to identify. We want to get that perfect logo, that super branding, that's something that capsulizes the essence of who we are, right? Well, our voice can do the same thing. Our voice is like a thumbprint. Our voice is our business calling card because we do begin to have distinctions with our voice. And I'll have some fun later. I did a lot of research for this, but I've got to keep me on target too. But I just want you to know that the marketing and the branding takes us to that branding voice. Do you even know what your branding voice is? What could that be? So we often talk about what is your unique style? What is your unique tone? Or what is your brand communicating? And how does it shape what your audience, how they might perceive you, how they might see you? One of the things that keeps coming up for me in my business is that fun is very important to me. I want the experiences that I have with my audience to have some kind of levity. And so I try and integrate that. So think about what is your brand voice? Think about how does the marketing, how does your branding, how does your branding voice, is there congruency there? Because now we then take a look at the vocal branding. And the vocal branding is the actual way that you're using your voice, the tone, the pace, the emotion, and how that's being reinforced through your personality. We all talk about being authentic, right? We want to be our authentic selves. That's the big thing. But we also don't really know is how I'm seeing me, how you're seeing me. So, how do you know that the perception that you think you're projecting is really what people are hearing or maybe seeing? These are just questions for you to think about and really pause on. And I mentioned in the vocal branding that a part of the description would be about the tips to power out your speaking. And I offer to you online, you can do that when we get off, and you can download the 4 Ps of public speaking, and you can download the 4 Ps of storytelling. And these are just the tips and tools and techniques that you begin to notice and hear about people that you like when they're speaking. So I invite you in your notes too to make a list of those people in your business community that you really enjoy hearing. You really like what they have to say. What is it that you like about them? And you will notice that they have certain elements in their speech. So in Toastmasters International, and that's why I did this one sheet on the tips that you can download, is because they were talking about pitch. They were talking about the power of the voice. They were talking about your pacing. How do you pace what it is you're going to say? Where do you want to have, um, the pitch? Are you going high? Are you speaking through your nose because you're a nasal kind of person? Because that's where the voice shows, right? Or you might be, well, I really enjoy everything that I do. Now, when you combine noise pitches with how you express what it is you say, do we not leave an impression? Do we not already have impressions about people that we like? And I'm going to give us some examples of companies and popular personalities so that we can dissect a little bit what we're really doing auditorily, how we're really judging. So, would you like to hear some of that? Right? Make
Yes.
some notes. And if you stay to the end, I will be glad to send you some of these definitions and some of these things that I'm talking about. So I just want to capture you as long as I can, right? Okay. So again, your voice is your business card. It's your footprint. It is the essence of who you are and how that matches up with all of your content, all of your material, all of your social media. Is there some kind of congruency that's there? Okay? That makes sense? So let's see. I talked about giving you some definitions and giving you some examples of companies and people. I'm also going to ask that you imagine a circle, and the circle has 5 arrows, so it flows. It has a flow to it. And in this flow will be these 4 Ps of public speaking and storytelling. But as I do my research and as I learn and as I listen to TED Talks, I listen to TEDxers, I do a lot of research that I have to condense down. But I want to talk about the 4 elements. And when I said, what is vocal branding? And what is the value of that? Why do you want to know about what that is? This is what we're moving into. So, the 5 elements, we're going to start with the first one. Remember, our voice shapes our communication. So, the first one in the circle, in the flow, is going to be about quality. So, what is a definition of quality of the character of your voice? Anyone to give a stab as what you think quality might be about?
You approach somebody.
Okay.
Like a strong, confident voice.
Okay. Anybody else have an idea?
Um,
All right. It's okay. We'll keep moving. I'll give you some tips. That's what I'm here for. But it's nice to to wonder what you're hearing and how you're hearing it. So when we talk about the overall character of your voice, is it smooth? Is it raspy? Is it warm? Is it nasal? Is it breathy? How many people they just really have a way about how they express themselves, right? Is it rich? So that has to do with quality. And the thing I want you to make a side note on is how might you use these five elements and how you give your tagline, how you introduce what you do when you're telling stories, when you're speaking. I want you to be authentic. We're not being manipulative here, but it is an element that when you listen to the best of the best, you will identify it. So quality is one. The importance of that. Why do we want to have quality and diversity? Listen, we want our voices to be interesting. We want people to listen to us, right? If you're monotone, we're going to turn them off. If you're always into nasal, well, after a while, I don't think I can handle that any longer. You know what I mean? Um, so there's diversity in how the voice can be represented. So bottom line, is it pleasurable or is it distracting? So we need to be aware of that. The quality of voice can do that. It can build trust and connection. And how many of you familiar with Morgan Freeman, the elder black? I mean, his voice, it is rich. It is resonant. It's a quality that exudes wisdom. It exudes credibility. So as you can see that his voice creates that image and gives that impression. We don't know when he goes home if he's just we have no idea what his personality truly might be like unless we knew him. The next element is about intensity. Now, I know how to project. I've been acting all my life. I like doing presentations. On some level, if you're out there doing coaching and you're doing public speaking, there's a part of you that wants to be an actor, no doubt. Okay? Because we're performing. But you have to watch it because if you're loud too long, you really need to soften. So intensity, it's one of the four P's, right? It has to do with power, but it's a range of your voice. And you want to be able to go soft to loud because you're impacting something. You want to emphasize something. There's something about your message, something about your story that you want to have. It's like a period or a puncture mark or an explanation. You are really saying, listen to me because this is really important. And you can pause and you can be silent, right? And you're going to listen because you're thinking, well, what the hell are they going to say next, right?
Yeah.
So you want to pay attention that you don't want to speak too soft because it can give a level of uncertainty also. So there's positives and there's negatives to avoid vocal branding. And that's why I want you to kind of pay attention when I send you this tape. Listen to your introduction. See how you could have maybe used some of these elements that would have added more strength or wisdom or character or interest in what you had to say. Um, so you don't want to shout and you don't want to be too aggressive either, right? So these are reasons. For example, how many of you have heard of Tony Robbins, right? If you haven't heard of Tony Robbins, he's certainly been in the field a long time, noted for high intensity. But if you follow the guy, you know he knows how to speak soft. He knows how to carry his message. But intensity can also bring a level of motivation. How many times have you been to an event or a convention or even this amazing webinar and you're going to leave so empowered and so excited and so motivated, right? So does your voice create that, or do you want it to? Again, you get to pick and choose about that. So again, it's about engaging. So element number 3, it's also one of the 4 P's. It has to do with rate. And this is about the pacing of your speech. Later on, I'm going to do an example for us, and you're gonna have a blank piece of paper, so make sure you have that. We're gonna cross it off in half, and I'm gonna have you do an exercise. But this was on rate. And rate has to do with the pace of the speech. How many of you have heard people or been in a situation where they're really talking fast? They're exactly letting you know exactly what they do and now the talents and the skills that they have and how they've gone to this event and they've done that event. Listen, I'm exhausted even trying to keep up with that pace, right? But the impression is it's too fast. We have no time to absorb the information. And while it may create a level of confidence, excitement, it also may not let you believe that it is serious enough, important enough. And maybe they're just speaking so fast because they don't really understand the content that they're really saying anyway. And they're not really present. They're not in their body. They're not grounded. There's a time for it. So just think about the rate at what you speak. Too fast, you overwhelm them. And too slow, you might lose their attention. So you have to find your medium line. Again, I want to emphasize the pauses. How many of you use the pauses in your speaking? Can I see a raise of hands of how you use that, Roxanne? I know you do. But you pause with intention, right? So think of the power of that. If it's too long, they may think you don't know, you've forgotten what it is that you want to say. So you have to use it wisely. Okay. It has to be intention. That's why I'm always going to go back to practice, 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 right? Are you delivering the message that you intended to deliver, or were you just nervous and excited and you just blurted out what you had to say without really thinking in advance? So always rehearse in front of a mirror. Always use that phone and record yourself. And I'll tell you why and what you can do with that later. Barack Obama is the example that we use here. And one thing about Barack with his pace of speech was that it was deliberate. His message had moments of deliberance. He paused and he did it for impact and he did it for credibility. So this is where rate of speed can really help you in your vocal branding. Is this all making sense to you guys? Can you give me a
Yeah.
thumbs up or an emoji or something like
Yes.
that? Or go in the chat and say, yeah, this is really awesome. All right. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I appreciate that. All right, so now we're at number 4 of our flow of circle of the vocal branding of those 5 elements. Ooh, I like that one, Linda. That's good. Okay, the next one is frequency. Now, it may sound like we're talking about a rate of speed. No, what we're talking about is pitch and tone of voice. Now, there's actual science in this, real science. And I'm going to give you some examples, and this will be in the recording so you don't have to write down these hertz. But we, as human beings, pay attention to the hertz. This is the modulations of the voice and how it comes through. So why it matters is because if you have a lower frequency in your hertz, when I speak with intention, when I speak with a tone that really is saying to you, this next piece of information is useful for you. I'm speaking in hertz of say 85 to 150 hertz. Do the research, go to AI. But why it matters is because it's telling us that I'm strong, I'm grounded, I have authority, I know of what I speak. Now, for males, it's between 85 to 180 hertz. For females, it's 165 to 255. So the higher frequencies probably will go over to 200. This is where you end up in youthful, energetic, or urgent. Like, if you guys don't sign up after this event, I'm going to be really disappointed. You absolutely need to do it. Now, it is a frequency. Again, we want to use balance with everything. But the idea is there youth? Is there energy? Is there an authoritative voice tone that you're using when you're speaking to people? Again, you have to decide the applicability of this. I understand it. But there's so many subtleties to the voice. So when I'm coaching people, they'll come to me, they're doing a presentation, they're speaking to an audience. Often what I'll do is we'll record them, I'll have them speak, I'll critique them, and we take a look at the suggestions of how they can deliver these 5 elements in their speeches. So it can really be something so simple and so subtle, but it ends up being really powerful. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then the example personality is Oprah Winfrey. Now, anybody not know who Oprah is? And what she has the ability to do and with her frequency in her pitches and in her tone of voice is that there's a level of warmth in her voice, emotion, and she has the ability to draw you in. Do you know people like that? Have you heard people like that? And don't you like them? You want more of that. This is a very natural thing that we as human beings, it's very inclusive. It's engaging. And so finally, the last one of the 5 elements. And again, this comes from a gal who did a TED Talk, which is different than TEDx. It's sort of the king of kings of the TED Talks, if you will. But she got my attention when it came to the elements and how important that they are and why I would integrate the 4 Ps for you guys. But the last one is the innotation. And what I got from this gal at the TED Talks, Wendy Laborn, if I'm saying her name right, is the melodic way in which we speak. And what I found out about her, and I invite you to think about your background, is music. And if you notice about music, the reason we love music is because it has tempo, it has melody, it has a way, a rhythm, a system. And this can be brought into our vocal branding as well. Because again, why it matters is we don't want to come across as robotic. Now, in my program, you can go online, you can get the mastery of public speaking, and I've got like 6 models there, and you can purchase it for like cheap. And but what's important is um, that last model has to do with vocal branding, which now I've updated after today. Um, but I had thought that when I did some of these, that maybe I did too many ahs and ums and ohs. Anybody guilty of that when you're speaking,
Yes.
right? It is important. Toastmasters International like brainwashed me big time because when you get critiqued with them when you're speaking, you get positive critiquing. Um, and uh, what I didn't realize is how forgiving the ahs and the ohs and the ums can be if you are using the other elements in your voice. How many times have you listened to somebody who did too many ahs and ums, but you just loved what they had to say? They had something important to say. So if you take a look at the other elements, then what we're looking at is maybe the quality of their voice, maybe the intensity. They drew us in. So don't be so hard on yourself. I would invite you. The reason we use the filler words is because we probably haven't practiced enough.
Mm.
Okay. You're just not prepared. You're not really hearing yourself and not knowing why you're breaking in with filler words. But this woman told me that what she liked about my voice, and this is why I invite all of you when you're speaking, is that there's so much robotics going on today. So many people are recording their messages, cutting out all of their mistakes, and they're becoming very perfect.
Mm.
And there is nothing human about that. It's like you've become a bot. Now, there's a balance, but I invite you that if you are really authentic about your voice and you have a level of energy and passion, but you back it up with a powerful message, the audience will forgive us. But there's a fine line. So I invite you to start recording yourself and listening to yourself. By the way, how many of you like hearing your own voice? When you record yourself, do you just go, wow, that was awesome? Right? So my call to action to you is to do more of that. So I'm going to extend an invitation to you. Do a 1 minute to 3 minutes, no longer. Record yourself. I would actually, let's do it a minute because if you send me a minute, you could record it on your Zoom and do 3 minutes and let me have that. But do a minute and send it to me, and I'll have a 30-minute session with you, and I'll give you my feedback on that if you're interested in that. Okay. I've got a few other things, but I'll just throw that in right now
So a
because,
minute of what we do or what we're trying to get out there.
well, a 1 minute speech of what you do.
Oh, cool. Okay.
That's it. Okay. Um, and I'll invite you with that. So the annotation is you don't want to be romantic. I mean, romantic. Yeah. You don't want to be robotic. Um, you want dynamic and you want seriousness, but you want to be real and warm. You want to bring your audience in. Now, how many of you know who David Attenborough is? He's the storyteller that does all the documentaries on the planet Earth and all the animals, and
Yeah.
his documentaries are like stellar. His storytelling of in these documentaries, he's got lots of scientific facts, but he delivers it with the intonation of storytelling, and it's mesmerizing. It has a rhythm and a flow that is melodic. Does that make sense? And that's what I mean when you're listening to the audiobooks. Why is it that some people who do audiobooks are like friggin' awesome? And others I've heard, it's like, oh my God, I don't think I could listen to another paragraph of that book. So keep in mind that the quality, the intensity, the rate, the frequency, and the annotation, all of those make up your vocal branding. So are you a little clearer about what vocal branding might mean to you? Is there somebody here, because this is a Q&A kind of thing too. At this point, is there somebody saying, great job, Janet, but I still don't get it, right? So what does vocal branding to me mean to some of you now? Because some of you expressed you weren't clear what it was. So chime in.
But
You
it's
trying to
I'll
incorporate all those four P's, right?
Pardon?
Trying to incorporate all of those four P's that
Right. The intensity is like the power P. Okay. The rate might be your pacing. The pitch can be about frequency, but it could also be about quality. And your pacing, the pitch, the pacing, what was the other one? The power, the pausing. I think we talked about pausing. Again, that can fall into the rate as well. So the reason I like the five elements is because it enriches the four P's. But it doesn't matter which I went to, there's like so many different forms of these tips or tools, but I guarantee you, people that you like, that when they do their public speaking, you can see how they incorporate all of those. So what I want to invite you to do, because it is 12:51, I will end this at 1 o'clock for those of you who have to leave, who absolutely have to leave in an hour. And I will hold the meeting open for more Q&A because I did promise that, and I'm certainly open to that. So no worries about that. But I want you to take the 8.5 piece 11. I want you to put a line through it. I want you to put a big plus sign at the top of the paper and a big negative sign on the other. So you've got a column. You split your paper in half. One's a plus, one's a negative. It's like doing the Ben Franklin where you put all of the positive reasons why you should do this thing and all the negative reasons why you shouldn't. Anybody use the Ben Franklin technique? It's ancient, but it works. Now, what I'd like you to do is to list on the positive side. Usually you want to start with a negative, end with a positive. But this is for your information. And I'm not leaving you with a stigma of negative. I'm leaving with you how do you associate and how you can begin to see how vocal branding is working in your life. So on the positive side, I want you to list three things that you love about your voice. Now, I'll give you some clues in case, some of us don't like that, but um, I like my energy. I like it that I have authenticity in when I speak, and I'm also passionate. I like those things about when I'm speaking about my vocal branding. So, what is it for you? And when you're finished, raise your hand because we want to do this quick. We want to spend a long time with it. This is just an immediate hit on what's in your head. So, when you're through, give me a quick flag. Three things. You may have 10, but let's just do three. Okay. So, Roxanne, I see your hand. You want to give us the three?
Sure. My three are, I think my voice is warm, authentic, and confident.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Just the three things, real quick.
So I put warm, inviting, and confident.
Okay.
I
One more
put,
person.
All right.
I did power, authenticity, and passion.
Okay, great. Now, what I want you to do is go to the left side. And on the left side, I want you to think about how somebody might perceive this particular strength, because we hear things differently.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Janet with energy is if I have too much energy and I'm expressing too much energy, I may give the impression that I have lack of clarity. That they may be thinking, well, wait a minute, she's not really clear. She's going too fast for me. Whatever. Okay, does that make sense? So the perception can be that. Authenticity. What do you think I put for my level of authenticity? As much as I love it. But what can be the negative with that?
You're a smarty pants. I'm
Ah,
just
there
kidding.
you go. Thanks, Roxanne. She knows me too well. It may mean
I don't say.
it may mean that I'm too emotional. There's that fine line between if I get too authentic. I had one client who was so authentic with her story, she cried and she didn't want to cry. So we had to figure out some trigger words and what she did with that. So again, it's just about perception. That doesn't mean that that's happening. Um, the other thing about passion, can we come up with somebody that you know is just so passionate about what they do? What happens?
It almost turns you off because you get a little, they get so swept away. It's almost like they could do a monologue and not wonder what the audience is doing or if they're with them.
Right. It can be too fast. And so think about that. If it's used with intention, it's great. But if it's overused, are you really being conscious? Are you really being present? Does it have value in the context of the audience or your target audience? So there has to be intention with this as well. So, who wants to volunteer? Tell us what your positive was and how you might see that that might project a negative. Anybody want to volunteer? I don't want to call on you. Go for it.
I'll volunteer, Janet.
Yes.
Sometimes I think warm can sound like it can have the potential to be too laid back,
Ah,
possibly.
yes. Yes. And when you think about different people, listen to commercials now. Try not to try to be in another room. See if you can guess. And guess what that voice was emoting. Um, One more, and then I want to share with you quickly about companies because I think this is important. We've got like 3 minutes left. I'll give you my call to action. Just a couple of other things. But anybody else have one more thought about how your positive could be perceived as a negative?
Yeah, I'm with Roxanne. Sometimes warm can seem like it's too familiar, right? Like
Mm.
Ah,
you could say, you don't know me, right?
right, right. Right. And, we have to watch too how our voice can come across as too aggressive, too condescending, being really slow. It's like in the TED Talks, it was, I need to get this done. I need to get this done. I need to get this done. So there's different ways that you can say an expression. So I wanted to share with you companies that have signatures of vocal branding. What do you think Disneyland's vocal branding message might be about?
Kids, rides, fun, family,
Happiness.
Right.
fantasy,
Nostalgia, childhood
fantasy.
wonder,
Mhm.
right? Magical, warm. So companies in their message, what do you think Siri's voice on the Apple? Why is Siri's voice that way? What is it evoking? What is
I
it?
don't know, but he makes me mad.
Aggravating. I'm kidding.
Yes, very much so.
It can
Authority.
also,
It evokes authority, I think,
I
Janet.
just, yeah, keep
it
changing
can
the voices, to keep it,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
So again, we all have this different impression. We've all been influenced differently. So again, this isn't about right or wrong. It's like, do you know what you're saying and why you're saying it? That's the important thing. And we can play with that. I have a whole list of the different companies of from Nike to Coca-Cola. Again, their Coca-Cola is so popular because it's nostalgic, right? So in marketing and advertising, whatever you're saying about your business, you are evoking a vocal voice. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I said we have Q&A. I'm not going to end this, but here's what I already invited you to uh, film yourself, send it to me 1 minute, and we'll have 30 minutes of free consult. We can do that. If you go to my website and you want to take advantage of the Speak Up series, Master the Art, it's $39.95. You get 6 modules for that. But I will give you a secret code and I'll knock $10 off of that. That 6 module is on vocal branding too. But I invite you, just go to my website, JanetJanssen.com, and you can take a look at the programs and upcoming events, whatever. The other thing was that any of you that want to do any of my coaching for 3 hour coaching, I will give you a 20% discount. So that's enough of my advertising, but I want to thank you for showing up today. But I want to open this up to Q&A because you guys have all stayed here. So what kinds of other questions might you have? This was not a deep dive into vocal branding, but it was to give you some strong tips on why these things are important and how you might be able to relate them to your business. Was that goal accomplished for you?
Yes.
If not, then put into the chat what was missed.
What did you say?
What didn't you hear? Right?
Well, Charles said it was awesome and it was for free. So he got a lot out of it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for that. Any other questions before we go today? It's your time.
This recording, how do we just go off of this or just make our own recording and send it to you?
No, I'll have to send it to you. Well, you
Okay.
just need to record it on your phone for
Yeah.
1 minute or less and then send it to me.
Okay. All right. I can do that.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Yes. Maria. Or
I was just
Maria.
gonna say thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate it. These are really good tips and definitely things that I've learned about with my sales academy. So it was a really, really good like refresher to lay it all out. I'll definitely be checking out your website because I am really interested in checking out your modules and maybe sending you a clip of my 1 minute elevator pitch. I think that would be really helpful.
Excellent. Excellent. Sonia, any questions, thoughts from you?
Not at the moment, but it was a lot of helpful information. I do have a student that just arrived, so I have to run.
Oh, that's excellent. It's good to see you. I take referrals, just so you know.
Okay.
Who else is from Louisiana?
Pardon?
Who else was from Louisiana?
Roxanne, she's right here. She's visiting, and Roxanne.
What part? Like
Roxanne, can you still hear?
Mute. Hi, I'm in Lafayette.
Oh, okay. I'm in Franklinton.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Well, hello, my friend.
Hello. I know where Lafayette is, of course.
I know. Yeah, I grew up here. I just came to kind of help with my parents.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, it's
Right.
nice to see another Louisiana. Janet, thank you so much, honey, for everything.
You are so welcome. So
I don't know how to get the picture up.
I will make sure that you get a copy of this video. Send me your information. It's been my pleasure. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And then Monique, I want you to hang on.
Okay.
And Roxanne, you know how to reach me.
Yes, I do. All right, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for coming. Talk to you
See
later.
ya.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.